Hello and welcome to the 16th episode of Subscriber Showcase, the series where you get to show off your modelling creations to the rest of the community. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, I'm Matt and you're watching Model Minutes. So first up today we've got Adrian. Adrian has sent us in a couple of submissions. First up we've got his Mark 9C Spitfire, the early version, which was flown by French ace Pierre Clostermann. He says it's one of his favourite aeroplanes, and this particular kit is from Italeri. He says the fit of the parts was much better than the previous Mark 5B version that he's built, and one thing he did was to make the propeller spin and the landing gear retracted, features that the original instructions don't include. He says he used enamel paint, but decided to thin it this time when he painted the model. He used a variety of Humbrol and Model Master paints, and he thinks the Model Master Dark Green is more accurate than the Humbrol version. Up next he sent in his Wildcat, which is a kit from Airfix. He has done his first diorama with this one, an aircraft carrier deck. He says the fit of the fuselage when he was building the kit was quite bad, particularly in the area around the landing gear, and he had to cut some of the internal parts to get it all to fit properly. He used a piece of sprue to make the wire, and he said the aeroplane in general was quite difficult to build and the landing gear was quite complex. But he did enjoy this one and he's very happy with the amount of detail. He used a variety of Humbrol and Ammo MIG paints to do this one. And then finally we've got his Curtis Tomahawk Mark IIB. He loves this particular paint scheme and he tried some new things for the first time on this one. He used Humbrol Mascol for chipping effects, along with some other little bits and pieces. He says it's his second Airfix P40 and is not difficult to build, but he has broken the propeller and had to glue it in place, and as a result it sadly doesn't spin. He has made a few errors in places, but he's putting it down to artistic license. Again, he's used a variety of Humbrol and Model Master paints, and if you'd like to check out his Instagram, I'll add a link to that underneath. What I'd like to say to you, Adrian, is that I think you've done a fantastic job with all three of these planes. I particularly like the very neat and clean paint schemes that you've applied, and also the subtle weathering that you have done as well. There are some small little bits and pieces that could be done to improve these in a few places, but generally I think that you've done a fantastic job, so thanks very much for sending those in. Up next we've got Antony, and he sent in a Matchbox A10A Fairchild Thunderbolt 2 in 1/72nd scale. He says he managed to get this one off eBay, so it's quite an old one, and it dates back to the late 1970s. But despite this, the kit actually went together really well, and he didn't have to do much sanding or filling, and the original decals were surprisingly in very good condition, but they did suffer from a little yellowing. He says there was no flash on the sprues, and they came in three colours, which are green, grey and white, and it reminded him of when he used to build Matchbox kits when he was younger. Overall, he says he's very happy with the way this one turned out, and although the plane might not be up to everyone's tastes, he finds it very interesting and it looks very impressive on his shelf amongst his other builds. And I agree with you, for a kit that is considerably old, and I'm guessing that you have used the original decals there, I think you've done a fantastic job. The paint scheme is very neatly applied, and so too are the decals. The only improvement I'd point out is to make sure that you get the decals the right way up if you're going for a historical scheme, as I did notice one that wasn't the right way up. If you notice it too, make sure you pop it in the comments. But thank you so much, Antony, for sending that in, and let's move on to the next one. Up next we've got Lucas, and he has got an Instagram account, so I'll add his link underneath. Up first, he's got a 1/144 scale FW190, and he's also got a Hawker Baghdad Fury in 1/72nd scale, which was by PM Models. Now, bearing in mind that his FW190 is absolutely tiny, I think he's done a fantastic job of that. You can see the paint scheme has been very neatly applied, and so too have the decals. I'm not sure if the kit comes with the engine bay area which is visible. If it doesn't though, and you've done this completely by scratch, it looks fantastic. And the Hawker Fury, this is neatly painted and assembled. I believe I've actually done one of these many years in the past, so I know that this kit is not the best in the world, but it is reasonable. That being said though, you've done a brilliant job of it. And I particularly like the interesting paint scheme you've done there, along with the subtle weathering. So thank you very much, Lucas, for sending them in. Up next, we've got 3 aircraft from Pantera. All of these are starter kits from Airfix, and he has really enjoyed his modelling journey so far. So let's take a look at these. We've got the Airfix P-51 Mustang, or the Mustang 4 in RAF colours. We've got the Hawker Hurricane Mark 1 and the Curtiss Tomahawk 2B. Oh, and we've got a Spitfire as well. So he has actually sent me in 4. And he's also sent in a couple of images of his next couple of builds that he's going to do. Generally speaking, your models are done to a good standard. I can see how you've improved over time. You can sort of tell which ones were the first ones that you did and then the ones that you progressed with. And it's nice to see that your skills are slowly developing. So thanks Pantera for sending those in, and I think we've got time for one more. So our final submission comes from Tom. He's recently built a Revell 1/144th scale US Army tank kit. He's got one of the Shermans, and he's added a little diorama with some N-gauge figures and crates. The hardest part of the whole build, he says, was getting the figure by the pallet to stand upright. And he has actually put a video of this over on his channel, so I'll add a link to his channel underneath. And to be honest, I think this shows what you can do with a little bit of imagination in such a small scale. Generally speaking, I'm quite a big fan of small dioramas, as it helps to present your models in a slightly unique way and shows off your individuality. Thanks Tom for sending those in, and thanks to everyone else who's already sent things in for these series. As always, if you'd like to get involved in this series, you can always take part with the following 3 steps. Number 1, you must be subscribed to my channel. Number 2, you can email my modelminutes@hotmail address any high quality pictures, video, text and audio of your work. Please make sure you send me a note or information about what your kit is. Sometimes I have to guess and I don't always get it right. So if you can send that information over to me, then I will definitely get it right. And then finally, step 3, you'll be waiting for the video to go live. You can also send stuff to my dedicated Discord channel on my server for submission as well. Currently, at the moment, I'm getting about 1 subscriber showcase video done a month or thereabouts, due to the fact that I get a large amount of submissions. So if you haven't seen yours this time, don't worry, because you might see it in the future. Before I sign off, honourable mention to my patrons over on Patreon. A massive thank you to these guys, whose invaluable support helps to keep the channel going. To find out more about the perks of pledging your support, take a look at the links in the description, and some of these perks include early access to videos and behind the scenes stuff. Don't forget that you can connect with me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and my own Discord server. And if you made it this far and you like what you see, make sure you click that like button and subscribe with notifications on to see more modelling content. All that's left to say is a massive thank you to you for watching, and I'll see you all on the workbench again next time.